Today I will be discussing the book of Job. It is in the Old Testament and it is a part of what we consider the wisdom collection. I chose to discuss the book of Job because it is unique. Up until this point, we've been told that God rewards the righteous and punishes the wicked. This is not the case in Job. Job was a righteous man who was 100% committed and devoted to God. Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He also had a wife. He had plenty of livestock and he also had servants. God was proud of Job, and one day he decided to call Satan over to admire Job's righteousness. Satan stated that Job was only righteous because of the rewards that he received, and if he didn't receive these rewards, that he would not be this good person. Satan decided to destroy all of Job's livestock and kill his kids. When this did not work, Satan went back to God and said that if he afflicted his body, then Job would certainly curse God's name. Satan struck Job's body with painful sores all over. Drowning in despair, Job's wife encouraged Job to curse God's name. It was at this point in the book that we are allowed to see Job's true thoughts. Job begins to wish death on himself. He can't tolerate the pain and the despair. Even Job's friends turned against him. They insisted that Job must have done something in order for God to unleash this wrath upon his life. Job defended himself, knowing that he lived a righteous life, he did not sin against God, and he began to question God and wonder why this was happening to him. Still, he believed in God and he stayed loyal. Job was in so much despair that he prayed for death. He cursed the day that he was born and he wished he had never been born. Job maintained his innocence and he declared that he did not sin against God. He was adamant that he never sinned against God. His friends even suggested that his children were the ones that sinned against God. Everyone turned against Job. His siblings, his servants, and even the people of the community. Everyone made a mockery out of Job, but still his faith remained unwavered. Job began demanding answers from God and demanded to speak with God face to face. God took Job on what we would consider like a virtual tour of the entire universe. He showed him how everything worked. The little things that we take for granted, he showed Job that these are the things that he had to do and think about every single day. God never directly answered the question on why he allowed all of this pain to be inflicted on Job. However, in the end, God did give Job double everything that he lost. He even gave him 10 kids, 7 sons and 3 daughters. God even allowed Job to pray for his friends that accused him of sinning against God because they were wrong. There are several things that need to be explored here. The first is God's wisdom and man's inability to comprehend it. We see examples of this when God shows Job the world and all that he does, and Job just doesn't understand and can't comprehend how God is able to do all that he does. The next example is when Job's friends come in a moment where they're supposed to be comforting him, but instead they're trying to find fault in something that Job has done to explain why God has unleashed his wrath upon Job. The next is when we see Job's wife encouraging Job to curse God's name, also with Job's siblings and also his servants turning their backs on him, as well as his community members. And we must learn to always trust in God. He has obviously deemed it necessary and profitable. Instead of viewing hardships as suffering or thinking that God is unjust or unfair, we should all realize that it is part of his plan. The next is God's omnipotence. God reigns supreme over us all. Even when we may not comprehend his plan, there is a bigger plan in place, bigger than us. Two of my biggest takeaways on the book of Job is patience and endurance. We have to trust in God, believe in God, and trust his process. Although sometimes we are incapable of understanding, we have to have trust. This has been my review and assessment of the book of Job, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.